Our protagonist has just defeated the Dark Lord and his elf friend is happy about it. It's been a tough and long adventure. He says to himself he's been waiting for this moment and then starts to beat up the elf's face hard. He says she's the true evil in the world. We then cut to a screen showing game over. It was all a VR game. The protagonist, Rakuro, is happy because he finally got back at that elf. This is an era where fully immersive VR games have become the norm. Even then, Rakuro only likes to play trash games and he even likes to classify them. And now he wonders what trash game to play next. But first he goes to school, and we see there's a girl who likes him there. She tries to talk to him, but one of his friends beats her to it, leaving her sad. She goes to the game shop that same afternoon and we find out her name is Rei. She's there because she likes video games, but also because she hopes to see Rakuro. However, the shop girl says he's been trying to beat a really hard trash game. A game with miserable ally AI, absurd enemy attack patterns and a huge amount of bugs. And you have to fight the final boss in shorts and a mask. Maybe because of an efficiency thing or something. At that moment, Rakuro enters the shop asking for decent trash games, but Rei doesn't talk to him. Instead, she runs and hides in the game shop. In any case, the shop girl is shocked he already beat the game and asks him how it was. He replies the female lead was the worst. She was the cause of every problem on the journey. And then she made things worse and people died because of her. But she never apologized. She always found a way to blame it all on the final boss. And then if you push her a little to vent your annoyance, she gets angry and says she will not go with you anymore. Then the game autosaves and you are stuck with that state of affairs. And it takes 3 hours to make her happy again. But in the 3 minutes after you beat the final boss and before the game ends, you can beat the crap out of her and she can't do anything about it. When that moment arrives, it's as if all her actions are wiped away. It's heaven. All this according to Rakuro. Meanwhile, Rei is listening to him from afar with a smile. Rakuro then tells the shop girl he doesn't know what trash game to play next. She looks at Rei and then tells Rakuro he should play a good game for once. A VR game with over 30 million players. She says it can be fun and winks at Rei. Rakuro buys the game and gets ready to play it. The game is called SLF, that is short for the name you see on the screen. This is a game that set a world record for simultaneous player logins. The lore of the game is that a colony fleet that came from space died out, but not before leaving a new society behind. Thousands of years later, the players are living at medieval tech levels, a setup that allows for effortless inclusion of sci-fi elements. After reading the synopsis of the game, Rakuro puts on his VR headset and says he has not played a good game for a really long time. He enters the game and the first thing he has to do is to create a new character. He has to pick a job for his character. There are many options, but he chooses a two-sword fighter because it sounds pretty flexible. Then he has to pick his origin and he chooses Wanderer because it has a high luck stat and luck affects critical chance and item drop rate. Now he has to design his character. Seeing all the things he can customize in his character's appearance, he says it's time to go hardcore on character design for the first time in forever. In the end, he looks like this. Why did he make such an odd choice? Well, it turns out that he prefers to focus on getting the best weapons possible instead of worrying about armor. These weapons are expensive, but in SLF, you can sell your starter equipment during character creation, which he did. He wears a mask because it would be pretty embarrassing to play half naked if everyone could see his face in a big-time game like SLF. His player name is Sanraku, which he uses in all games. After all that customization, he finally enters the actual game world. He skips all the prologue of the game and wakes up in a forest. He is amazed at how moving around feels just like real life. The last trash game he played was so clunky to move around in, it's an insult to compare them. He's amazed by the stunning views of SLF. Then he checks the map to figure out where he is and wonders why he didn't start in a beginner's tutorial town. The reason is that if you choose Wanderer as your origin, you'll start at a random spot in the beginner's area. However, from a hilltop, he can see the starting town, so he decides to head in that direction while exploring the game. He checks his stats and realizes that he has a vitality of only 3, which is not surprising since he's half naked. However, his luck is a whopping 30. Suddenly, a goblin attacks him, and he's thrilled to test the game's combat engine. The goblin charges at him, but he easily dodges it. He then slays the goblin with a single slash. He's amazed that it was a one-hit kill and is notified that he leveled up. He also notices that the goblin dropped his axe, but its durability is down to half. Suddenly, he senses something's hiding in the bushes. He knows there's still a lot to learn about the game. Monster weaknesses, item drops, and attack patterns. He thinks you can't experience this feeling in real life, the thrill of diving into a new world. Then, out of nowhere, a bunny monster attacks him, but he manages to dodge it. He watches in amazement as the bunny's attack cuts down a tree. He realizes that one hit from the bunny could be fatal. Then the battle continues. He lands a critical hit on the bunny, but it doesn't go down. One hit won't be enough to defeat this monster. However, with the next strike, he's able to take it down. Since the bunny always aims for the neck, he figured out its attack pattern and used it to his advantage. After the kill, he levels up twice. The bunny gave him a lot of experience points, but it didn't drop its weapon. He's disappointed because he wanted that knife. It's surely powerful as heck. After that fight, he learned a new skill called Flash Counter. This skill lets him deflect and attack with his weapon. In modern VR games, a player's own skill supplements their dodges and parries, so he can't fight very well against even higher level enemies. He is surprised that he hasn't encountered a single bug while playing the game. He concludes that they don't call it a god-tier game for nothing. Then he decides to have some fun and get himself a tough bunny's knife. So he goes on a hunt for bunnies. While on his hunt, he discovers other monsters and learns new skills. He levels up like crazy, which means he earns a lot of stat points. Later, he allocates these points in stamina and luck. He wishes that the bunny monster had a higher spawn rate, because it took him forever to get a matching set of their knives. It took him 2.5 hours in total, and he had to kill 50 of them to get 2 knives. That's a drop rate of about 5%. Then he realizes that he won't gain any more levels with the scrap tier monsters around that area, so he decides to move on. He looks at the map and realizes he's wandered far from the starting town. He's now much closer to the next one. To get there, he has to cross a bridge over a ravine. When he reaches the bridge, he sees a massive snake blocking his way. He's thrilled because he finally has a real challenge. This is a boss meant for a party, but he's about to solo it. He says that with an avatar that actually moves the way he wants it to, he doesn't need defenses to beat this snake. He's even daring the game to give him something to enjoy in this fight. We can see he's grinning from ear to ear, even in real life. But just before the fight, we cut to the first town where a character straight out of freaking Overlord appeared. Everyone is looking at it with confused faces. Who is this mysterious character? What are they doing here?